And we are live with episode 127 of the Start Build Growth Show. Randy, brother.
Jamming out, man. You got the
Like that? You
intro going.
like
I like
that?
it.
Woo, baby. Well, let's go. Let's bring some fire today, man. Today is just going to be just me and you, man. So what are we talking about today, bro?
We're bringing it back home, man. We're bringing it back home. I mean, to where our early beginnings were, where it was just you and I before we were able to somehow trick someone to becoming a guest on our show. And now you've crushed it, and now we're booked up, months on end. But it's nice that we're able to squeeze a little bit of time in to bring it back home and to dive into some of the things we kind of started the show all about, and it's helping contractors, sharing the journey, giving advice, sharing good tips and things about how to build and grow a successful roofing company. So that's really what we're all about today is kind of, I want to kind of touch base on some of the foundational elements of what it takes to truly build a scalable roofing company. So for those of you who are just jumping on, and even if you are listening to podcasts later or watching later, we'll be in the comments. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to direct message us and keep the conversation going. Say hi, say what's up, say where you're from. And I want to see how many of you, actually, let's throw a question out there. How many shows have you actually seen? Is it your first time, or are you a repeat viewer of the show?
I love it. Yeah, throw in the comments. Have you guys been listening for a while or what? Tell your story. Now, one thing that's cool is obviously I'm a marketing and branding guy. Now we're going to be talking about the 5 pillars today of a successful roofing company. So if you check out Randy Brothers hat right here, how many pillars you got on that logo, Randy?
5 pillars, my friend.
5 pillars. So that kind of tells the story right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think very many people realize, like, they just see. I mean, the symbol has kind of become a thing where you just see it, right? It's the the symbol for the roofing academy, but there's some intentionality behind what we did with that, and it's kind of the core of of what a roofing company really is. But the first pillar, well, really, actually, before I dive too far into that, we gotta lay a foundation, right? Talk about this a little bit. With every client, everybody I work with, every contractor, I've talked about this a lot on this show. And one of my most important pieces of advice for contractors is, or any entrepreneur. I mean, this is we keep saying contractors, keep saying roofers. Any entrepreneur, if you're trying to build a business, I think one of the most important things is you've got, like, just like a house. Just think of it. It's like a house you're trying to build. You've got to build it on a solid foundation. How do you do that? What does that mean, right? Do I have to have a good technology? Do I have to have good CRM, good people? Do I just got to be a good person that works hard? No, that foundation, and the way I look at it is all about values. So the first step before we can even dive into pillars and building a scalable organization is the step of establishing your core values, not only for yourself but for your business. What values have you built your life on? Like, what are the things that are really important to you and that you feel tell the story of yourself and tell the story of your business? And that's where it starts. You got to create core values for your business, and then you got to take those core values, and whether you do it before or after, the most important question that you got to answer before you really take this to another level is why. Right? Why do you own a business? Why did you start a business? Why are you trying to grow a business? What's the deep rooted why behind your motives and your energy, and why you wake up every day and work hard to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish? So that's another component of this foundation, is knowing your why, establishing your core values, and then from there you can build, and we'll dive into some of the stuff that you talk about is you can build your brand promise, you can build your mission statement, you can build, or you can write your core values and your guiding principles for your business. these are things that you're going to hang your hat on and anchor throughout all of the concepts and throughout all the things that we're going to talk about as we build our business. Whether I'm
Yep.
with you as a client and we work through these things, the first step is establishing those core values. So even working with you, it's in your business, you've kind of gone through this as well, as you
Mm-hmm.
values. So in the idea of interactivity, throw those out there. If somebody wants to kind of post up what your core values are, let's talk about that and
Mm-hmm.
give us a little love there. What about
Well,
you,
yeah,
Eric? What do you say?
I'm all about it, of course, right? I mean, we're redoing our website as we speak, and we have our core values on our story, right? We have family, accountability, love, growth, and collaboration, right? So it's definitely a big part of everything you're doing. So it sounds like pretty much, you want to start with your core values, right? Then you want to dive deep into your why, and then work on your brand promise. So what are you promising to your customers, and your brand essence of what you're known for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's the next step, Brance?
All right. So, and so if you're looking at it, that's kind of the baseline here, right?
The
Values. You got to have a
foundation.
foundation of values.
Yep.
And the next thing that you've got to understand, and this is where probably one of the biggest reasons, unfortunately, why most companies can't quite get over the hump and can't quite, get to a place of scalability or growth is leadership. Okay, nothing works. None of these pillars work without leadership, without learning how to become a great leader. And that's what the top
Mm-hmm.
line is. It's all coupled together with leadership. So you have to understand that you got to have great leaders in order to build a scalable organization. And if you're the one wearing all the hats, unwilling to change, unwilling to take risks, unwilling to let other people make decisions, unwilling to give up some of those responsibilities, unwilling to delegate to other people, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a difficult time scaling your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a big fallacy out there that people seem to think that leadership is something you're just ingrained, right? I was told my whole life, oh man, or my parents, he's a natural leader. Sure, there's certain elements of that, but I don't believe that you're just born a natural leader. I truly believe that you can be taught, you can learn leadership. Leadership is a learned skill. And I truly believe that if you have the desire to want to lead and want to learn that skill and learn leadership, that you can do that.
Mm-hmm. 100%. So, okay, so we have the foundation, right? So we start with the bottom of the logo when you're looking at Randy's hat, and you start with the core values, you dive deep into your why, you build your brand promise and your brand essence that you're known for. Then you go into developing yourself as a leader, and then developing others around you as leaders as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's really the key to leadership. Couple notes on leadership. One is great leaders, and again, I read a lot of books and I study leadership quite a bit because I took ownership of this early on. As by no means am I the perfect leader. I just understand the value of the journey of becoming a great leader and always trying to get better and better at leadership. And I think that the ultimate goal of a leader is to develop other leaders,
Mm-hmm.
right? If that makes sense. And then one of my, one of the most, my most influential authors, mentors is John Maxwell. And he talks about this a lot, how, great leaders develop other leaders. And if you can understand that concept of figuring out what you can do as a person to create opportunities to develop other people into leadership roles, that's a catalyst to getting you to where you want to go, to where you can work on your business, leading your people versus in the day-to-day stuff all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. 100%. Okay. So you've built your foundation, you've developed yourself as a leader, you start to develop other people as leaders. So that way you're giving yourself an opportunity from, going from working in your business to now working on your business, right? So you kind of slowly start to remove yourself from the day-to-day type stuff. Now, is this kind of where you go into developing those 5 pillars then, Randy?
Yeah, exactly. So, and we'll touch more on the leadership thing as we dive into some of this, and kind of where the concept came up, where I kind of came up with this concept of the 5 pillars, if you will, is kind of starts with a famous book that's been rewritten, but that's been a big anchor for me, growth as a leader, as well as understanding business, growing a business, is from Vern Harnish, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And
Mm-hmm.
And in that book, he describes, you know, how every single company out there, you can look at pretty much any company, the Amazons, the roofing companies, the, you know, the distribution, the production companies, all the different companies out there in the world, and you can break that company down to somewhere between 4 and 9 key processes. Right? There's between 4 and 9 key processes that if you get figured out, and if you, you know, build and create, that's the core of that entire business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I took that concept and I was like, okay, let's take that concept and apply it to roofing. And what I came up with was essentially the 5 pillars, or the 5 key processes to building a business, to building a roofing company.
So with these 5 pillars, right? And I'll kind of say what they are right now: lead gen, sales, production, hiring, onboarding, training, and then cash flow management. Do you kind of decide which one that you start with, or do you kind of, or how do you kind of decide that of which one you start to really dial in first?
Well, generally, what I'm going to do when I'm kind of going through this exercise with somebody is, you know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times companies are already working. They already, you know, have some things that they're naturally good at. So this is where I'm going to kind of look and analyze the business from each one of these pillars, and kind of do an analysis of each one. What are you good at? What are you not good at? What opportunities are in place? What opportunities are there to improve, or what systems need to be worked on? And then we're going to identify all those throughout each pillar, and then we're going to prioritize and execute. So we're going to figure out what is the most important process that we need to work on right now, or in the next month, or in the next period of time, in order to get my business one step closer to my bigger picture goal.
Yep.
One step closer to that vision, one step closer to where we're trying to get to. So then it just becomes a prioritize and execute. If you have a full, you know, if I'm working with a company, a full team, a full leadership team, great, we can work on things simultaneously. If it's just an individual trying to get off the, you know, get their first 2 or 3 hires, then we'll prioritize what's important to them and what they need to do to get to that level. So, you know, so it's really all about prioritizing, executing, but you got to have a plan. So you got to do an analysis of, you know, how well am I, and what systems do I have, and what processes do I have within each one of these pillars.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and
Mm-hmm.
this is where I'm gonna kind of turn it over to you. You're the guru here. And the first thing, right? Nothing happens until, you know, Henry Ford said, nothing happens until somebody sells something.
Yeah.
But you can't sell anything until you have a lead.
Yep.
Right. And so that's one of the most important. Obviously, these are all very important, but lead generation, you start there, right? You start there with how do you get the lead. And there's a million different ways to get leads. You can spend a ton of money, you can knock doors, you can, you know, you can network. There's a lot of different things that you can do to get leads. But my challenge is, you want to be thinking this as a systematic process, and it's not just lead generation. So lead generation is the main pillar, but underneath that pillar, you have marketing and you have branding, 2 separate things. They obviously intertwine a lot, but branding, you know, and really, I want to turn it over to you a little bit. I want to just be the only one talking, because you're the guru here. You do branding, you do marketing, but from my perspective, you know, how I explain this is, you know, branding is really, you know, building a brand and creating impressions that people can recognize, and imprinting and building impressions and creating impressions for future potential clients to see and to understand the value of your business. Marketing is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a direct action or a direct campaign that generates an opportunity or a lead, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
simplest version of that, but you got to have a dual approach to your marketing to understand that to build a full lead generation system, you got to have both. You got to be able to brand your company and build a great brand. And again, it starts with those values. Having core values is a really great way to set yourself up for great branding and telling a story and the deep rooted
Yep.
why your company
Exactly.
exists. And then
Mm-hmm.
the marketing is just, okay, exchanging dollars for dollar. Like, how much money can I put into this marketing in order to generate leads, in order to sell the
Yeah.
job, right?
I would say the same thing, right? Brand needs to be perception of your values, your story, and the value that you have to offer your customers or potential customers. And then marketing is more about lead gen, direct ROI, and like you're saying, dollar for dollar type stuff. Completely agree.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you? Like what's your process? Like, okay, I'm a new contractor, right? We got a lot of contractors watching this. I'm a new contractor.
Mm-hmm.
I want to evaluate my brand. What are some things that I'm going to do? What's some questions I'm going to ask myself?
So, I mean, well, if you're a brand new contractor, if we're talking about building out these pillars, I mean, if you're brand new, I think it all starts with like your online digital presence. So, obviously, you're going to be setting up your brand, your logo, right? I would say develop like a one-page landing page to kind of get you going and get your story out there. Well designed, so like the perception of value that you have to offer your customers is now lifted. I would say, getting your Google My Business set up is going to be a big one for sure. Your social media profiles, go Google local service ads. I'd get that stuff all set up. That's easy setup stuff. LinkedIn, I'd get my LinkedIn account set up. Every time, I want to make sure that my customer is putting value back in my business. So for each customer that I'm doing in the very beginning, I do before and after photos, just for social media purposes. I would hit them with my referral program and get them to give a review. I think in the very beginning, especially, it's very essential to make sure that each customer is putting as much value back into the business as possible.
There you go. And this is a great starting point. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
branding stuff, again, you got to have some sort of a budget, right? It's just not free. You got to be able to
Mm-hmm.
invest in your company. And regardless of where you started, whether you started with very little or you have a nice big, budget or cash to put in the business, I think branding, like you said, you got to understand that branding is the long game. Okay, branding
100%.
start now and you work towards. I remember, we started our business 10 years ago and I knew, okay, we're in a very competitive market
Mm-hmm.
and we knew, man, that there's all these other contractors that were already had great websites that already were ranking on the top 5 in Google and they were already, trucks all over the road and all these brands, billboards and all the different things they're doing for branding, radio, TV commercials, all the different things, and that could be very intimidating. I remember that. I was like, man, what are we going to do? But I just knew, I knew that there's a vision I had. I was like, I know it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I know that I need to build a great website right now
Mm-hmm.
and then rebuild it and then rebuild it. And
And then rebuild it. And then rebuild.
every year we're adding on and making improvements
Yeah.
to our website and doing everything we can to stay up with that ever-changing algorithm, right? And adding content, keeping fresh content on there and blogging and all
Mm-hmm.
and all the social media stuff that you need to do, but understanding the long game, right? Have that vision of what you want your brand to be in the future, because 10 years down the road, that brand, that time that you invest right now, 5-10 years down the road, is going to create a constant stream of opportunities, a constant stream of leads because of the brand you built.
Mm-hmm. Completely
Right.
agree.
And now we can go online now and search our specific company, and our company itself now costs a whole bunch of money because so many people have searched that. That's just how
Mm-hmm.
Google works. It's just it takes time. 5-10 years down the road,
Mm-hmm.
now you're actually having to pay to search your own company to stay up with your own brand, because all these hackers out there decide I'm just going to leverage someone else's brand and then try to throw an AdWord in there on their brand, which we don't want to get into that, but that's it's what people do. But nevertheless, it's kind of flattering, right? But again, got to invest now. Have that great website. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you have great social media presence, and make sure you're consistent. It's
Yep.
free. You can do your own posts. You got to stay relevant. Post things all the time, and don't just post sales ads like buy this, buy this, buy this. How are you communicating? How are you giving back to the community? How are you growing your business? Highlight your people. Highlight the people who buy from you, your clients, your customers within your social media presence. All that is branding. Okay, and if you got one truck, get it wrapped, right? Get that bad boy wrapped and make it happen. You know what I mean? That's
Amen to that.
make a little investment, a couple $1,000, but that's a driving billboard that you're in every single day. Once you have a second truck, wrap that one too. You'd be surprised at how that affects people. You may only have one truck, but someone sees that same truck over and over, they automatically think you're a big company or bigger than you are because they recognize that brand. They've seen it a bunch of times.
Yep.
Little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Investment, you're not gonna be able to say,
Well,
oh well, I get X amount of leads off my truck. Sure, kind of, but anyway.
Well, I think when we're deciding what pillar to work on first, I think like the lead gen sales goes really well together, because anything that you're doing on a marketing level, I think should just be in the very beginning is going to be much different than when you're a well-developed company. In the very beginning, I mean, you just want to give any kind of tools to your sales team to be successful. If it's you, or if you have people that you're hiring to sell stuff or to sell roofs, you want to make sure that you're giving them stuff to be successful, right? So anytime that they're knocking doors, doing whatever they might be doing, making sure that they're backed up with a good online presence. So, I mean, just consistent posting before and afters, team culture type stuff, testimonials, wrapping the truck, I think is a great one. That's one that Dimitri said. He said, as soon as you start, go spend $3,000 on a truck wrap, right? Because it's going to get tough, and that way you're not going to quit, right? When we brought him on. So I thought that was good. Google reviews is going to be a big one, hitting hard with that referral program, and then well-designed one-page landing page. I mean, if you think about it, if you want to make a 20-page, 25-page website, whatever it might be, in the front end, you're just getting going. There's no way that you have enough of a story to fill out that much content anyways, right? So get a really nice one-page website built out that says who you are, what you do, what your differentiating factor is, conversion-based design that's focusing on trying to convert that lead. And then from there, being able to use that same style and layout to build out additional pages and then build it out from there. So I think, if you're working with an agency, if you bring somebody on, whatever you're doing, saying, hey, this is my budget for year one. How can I use this? Right? What's my best way to maximize my return on investment? What's the most important things? And then for year two, if things go well, what should I look into planning and investing into for the future?
Totally. Yeah. And then I guess we got to move on here. We got 5 pillars to cover, but then marketing is the other side of that. And that's going to be, door to door, right? Most of us start with door. That's the cheapest, easiest way to do it. You want to start a company, you want to go sell a roof, strap your boots on and go knock some doors, right? That's how we all start. But I think a lot of us think that that's the only way to market our company. Knocking doors is great, but let's think of other ways to get involved with our community, to network ourselves, to join networking groups, to do, what I call center of influence marketing, where you're going to market to, people that are a connection to opportunities, property managers, real estate, insurance agents, those sort of things. Knock those doors as well. That's cheap. Networking groups, you can join those. It's real cheap. You can do all this stuff for free to get started. And then you want to think of, AdWords and social media campaigns and, maybe direct mail, radio, TV, all the different things you can do to market your company, just trial and error. Try it, make sure, you have a budget for it. Track it, measure it, try it. If it works, double down. If it doesn't, then try something else, right? Every market's different, every brand's different, but you got to invest in these areas to generate opportunities. I think a lot of people struggle because they just start and end with door knocking. Don't get me wrong, rite of passage. It's tried and true. But if you start and end with door knocking, you're always going to be held. You're always going to be handcuffed by the production that brings.
Completely agree.
So if you're if you're the only salesperson for your business and you're not feeling right, you're having a rough day, or something like COVID hits and you can't go knock doors, what are you going to do? You got to have secondary and tertiary, strategies to generate leads. And then, if you're having to hire and train canvassers all the time, you shift from being a roofing company to being a recruitment company. I mean, sure, if that's your business model and you want to take on hiring a recruiter and interviewing constantly, every day interviewing people, and every day having to hire and train and develop, these canvassers, great, that business model can work. But again, don't make that your be all end all. And if you think you're just going to hire the A players, the top level salespeople, or to train and develop the top level salespeople, and you're not going to support them by giving them any leads whatsoever, good luck. You're going to be a revolving door. You're going to have turnover, and people are going to, the really good people are not going to just only knock doors for you to build your business. You have to contribute both ways. I like to look at this as, for every lead I give you, I expect you to go get a lead. You knock a door and grab a lead, thank you. But I'm also going to be marketing my company and doing everything I can to provide you leads as well. It's a mutual agreement, and then you can get the best out of people that way.
Completely agree. I love that. I would give a quick shout out too to Matt Collins. He's on here. He's always listening. TRA member, right? Collins and Son, roofing. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, bud.
Happy birthday, man. We got, a handful of people. Cody, Troy, we're going to get you on the show here soon, my friend.
Yeah.
Message. Ben, got some truck wraps. So if you have a wrap truck, have a branding, let's go ahead and throw it on there. And here's the deal. If whoever has, let's vote on this. Whoever gets the most likes, throw a picture of your truck. whoever gets the most likes, but by tomorrow, because obviously this is going to continue to play. By tomorrow, I'm going to hit you up and I'm going to send you a free copy of the book.
There we go. I love it. You heard it here first, guys. Throw in that the photo of your truck wraps. Whoever gets the most likes gets a free book from the man himself, Randy Brothers. All right. So we talked marketing, right? We talked a little bit about marketing and sales a little bit there with the door knocking, but do you want to go a little bit deeper on the sales strategy?
Yep. So the second pillar, sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens until somebody sells something. Okay. And, you know, a lot of us can relate to the same story of, you know, I got hired into the roofing business. I was given a, you know, a basic paper contract, and if I'm lucky, I was given some materials, some GAF materials or whatever, and I was told to go knock doors and sell roofs. Right? Raise your hand if that's how you got into this business. I hear the story all the time, and nobody really takes the time. Very few people really take the time to build out a sales infrastructure for their organization. We think we want the path of least resistance. We think what we're going to do is just hire people that already have experience, that are working for other companies, and I'm going to convince them, trick them to come work for my company, somehow sell them into coming to work for a brand new company that has no marketing, that has no branding, but I'm going to get the best A player there, and we're going to grow a business. Problem is, you find a lot of challenges and a lot of people that are great salespeople. They're selling you on their ability, but they have never actually had any formal training or any sort of organized, you know, training within sales. So then you end up with a sales team that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. We don't know what we're doing. When it comes to sales, the key here is you've got to put the time and energy in to create a sales program. You got to have a sales program. At the very minimum, you got to have tools to use, technology, estimating. You know, we're going to dive right into that. Estimating software, CRM softwares, and a presentation or something that you can provide to your salespeople, and you can teach them how to use it. You can teach them a step-by-step process on how to sell your company.
Yep.
And that alone was one of the catalysts to us scaling our business.
Yep.
Okay. And taking the time to build a sales program. And luckily, many of you are already members. And if you're not a member and you're thinking or you're thinking about trying to invest in yourself and work with a coaching program, we help do that. We help you do that. We have a program that you can plug and play. We have training that can teach you how to build a sales program. And that's invaluable. That is one of the catalysts to scaling your business. So you got to be able to hire, train, and maintain salespeople. And what I've learned is the best way to do that is to actually provide them tools, hire and train them, give them a program to follow. And you can, as well as some good leads, and they'll generate their own. That's a recipe, and that provides a scalable, you know, sales model. So don't cut corners when it comes to sales. Do something differently. This is a very competitive business, and if you do the same crap everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same results. 85% of roofing companies never make it over $2 million.
Wow.
So if you're going to be the same 1 to 2, if that's your be all end all, by all means, that's fine. Understand that and just know that build your business to where you can do that and take your time off and do what you got to do. But if you want to break through those thresholds and grow your business, you've got to invest time and energy, and ideally to do it right, work with someone, not just me, but there's a lot of organizations out there, work with somebody that can help you build a sales program. Invaluable.
So we're looking at sales, right? You're looking at, let's see here. I wrote it down. So sales program, of course. So having some kind of sales program. I think sales training is going to be a big part of that as well. Having a CRM for your team to be able to use and implement, estimating tools, having things like sales presentations or sales decks, marketing collateral type stuff. So PDFs, trifolds, case studies, whatever it might be. Just anything that can help your salesperson be more successful out in the field, right, Randy?
Yep, totally. That's why I'm for the tools, right? Got to give them the right tools to be successful.
100%. All right. So what do you want to drive in next? Now, if I had to guess, it's probably production, but what are you thinking?
Well, here's the thing. There's not necessarily a particular order per se, because, you know, technically there's an order, because you got to have leads and you got to have sales and you got to be able to produce, and then you have cash flow management, and, you know, and then you have the HR component, the hiring, onboarding. But HR can kind of, you know, technically be one of the first ones if you're going to hire salespeople. But yeah, dive into production, right? You got after sales, you got to be able to produce the job, right? You got to have a production system. And a lot of people just, you know, they sell the roof and they run around like with their hair on fire trying to produce things, and and calling in the city to pull the permit and trying to get all the information, somehow tracked in a system or on the job built. But as soon as they start getting a bunch of jobs, chaos happens, right? So one, you've got to leverage, you got to have a great CRM, you got to have a great system to follow. Again, these tools you got to have in order to be successful with it. And again, one of our main sponsors and the company that I've leveraged, the tool that I've leveraged is Job Nimbus, and we're gonna be able to dive into that in just about 10 seconds here. But production management, you got to be thinking, assembly line. Okay, building a roof is like an assembly line. You have you have one process, which is the job submission process. How do you take a job from the salesperson or the sales process and convert it and put it into the production process? Once you get in the production process, you have to verify that you have all the information proper in order to build the job. Then if you're ordering permits, so you're in a state, you order the permit, you order the materials, you coordinate the crew, you schedule it, you communicate with the homeowner, you do all these steps in a row, and you got to have a system to do that. And a great CRM is the anchor for that. Great calendar and a great somebody who can be very organized to help you with this process, because you got to have a duplicatable, repeatable production process in order to scale your business and do a lot of roofs at a quick time, right? And there's a ton of things. Again, we got to keep talking about some of the tools and some of the support systems that we have out there. We have an entire program that is geared to teach you how to build a very well-oiled production system. So if you're the owner and you're doing production, great. Take the course and learn production and really learn what it takes to build a system capable of doing 1,000 roofs a year. Or if you're growing your business and you're hiring a production manager, why not get that production manager training on how to build a plug and play, technically well-oiled production machine? Get the resources, invest in yourself to learn the ins and outs of that, because production is not something I can just teach you in 5 minutes on a podcast. And I give you some of the overarching concepts, but there's a lot to production, because you got to, we talked about the first couple components, but what about quality control? What about hiring? What about finding the right service department? Or what about a service department? What about hiring crews, whether they're in-house or they're subcontracted out? There's a lot to a production department. If you do want to learn more about that, definitely check us out at theroofingacademy.com.
I love it. Well, before we dive into the last two pillars, so hiring, onboarding, training, and then cash flow management, let's give a big thank you to our sponsors. Of course, starting out with our friends at Job Nimbus.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
So if you guys have not checked out Job Nimbus yet, of course, go to info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy to check them out. And then Randy, of course, you know some stuff about Sumo Quote here, but what has Sumo Quote done for your business?
We talked about tools for your salespeople earlier, and this has been one of the most influential tools in my career. We started with them about a year ago, and this tool alone has not only empowered my team to provide a ton of great value to our customers, but it's also helped them raise their closing ratio, sell more deals, make more money, and be way more professional. We talked about marketing, branding, differentiating yourself. Having a tool like Sumo Quote is a game changer in making your company completely stand out amongst the rest.
So if you guys want to check out Sumo Quote and actually get started for free, go to try.sumoquote.com/start build grow. And then last but not least is our friends at Hilltrace. You talked about branding and marketing. Man, these guys have over 31,000 people following their page on Facebook. They're going live every single day with the weather report, and their platform is unbelievable. Randy, we're talking about Hilltrace. What do you think about Hilltrace?
Well, Hilltrace is a tool that crosses over a lot of these different pillars, because you can leverage their technology for a number of different marketing things, but you can also leverage it for production. You can leverage it for, for supplementing, which that's kind of the extra pillar, because not every company is retail, right? So we didn't really dive into that. We've done shows specific on supplementing, but having a tool like Hail Trace, not only, if you're in the hail business or wind or working storms, or there's hurricanes and things that hit all over the place, having that data to know exactly where and what happened and who the homeowners are, and extracting that data and being able to leverage that to build marketing plans around, whether you're knocking doors or using a text message or emails or whatever you are to whatever strategy you're using to market. Man, Hail Trace is a game changer. And if you wonder why all these contractors are beating you to the punch and getting out and onto the doors before you do in the neighborhoods, that's because they're using Hail Trace.
Probably Hail Trace, if I had to guess. Well, Randy, let's get back to it. But also, if you guys want to check out Hail Trace, it's just going to be hailtrace.com. Make sure you're checking it out. Unbelievable team there. All right. So, Randy, we got a couple more pillars we're going to go through here before closing out. All right. The next one is probably one of the most difficult ones when you're looking at hiring, onboarding, and training. I hear all the time, I can't get good people. People aren't lasting here. We're having turnover issues. Man, let's dive into this one. This is a big one.
Probably the most challenging one to tackle, to implement into your business, but also the most important.
Yep.
Okay. And it starts with, a very organized system. Like you have to, it starts with recruitment. I guess we'll just work my way through it. Recruiting. Okay. This day and age, you just throwing an ad on Craigslist is not going to do you much good. Right. So you have to have a pretty in-depth recruiting process. And there are some tools like Indeed, and some of those can be good tools to hire and attract good people. But again, if you don't have a great brand to try to attract good people, it makes this recruiting process much harder. So again, go back to step one or pillar one and focus on that brand. Make your business a place that people want to come and work. Make it a business that people want to come and work, and you'll have a much easier time.
Think of Google, Apple, right? All those kind of tech companies that create this fun atmosphere and culture that people want to work towards. So not only are you building a brand that attracts customers, but you're also attracting employees, long-term employees that don't want to leave.
Absolutely. So there's a tip for you is take that concept to heart. And then you can leverage different platforms, so social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those things. But honestly, the what's worked the best for us is our own personal network. We recruit, we find people every time we have a new job opening or a salesperson or position we need. Most of the time, we're able to fill that position with our direct network. Facebook, extended Facebook friends, emails, our email lists, like from our extended family and our friends, we're able to, leverage that to find people. And then, and then you just got to be consistent with it. Do more. You're better off taking your time, hire slow, fire fast concept is take your time, interview more people than you need, to hire that one good person, right? So it's not just an overnight, the first person with a pulse that says they want to come work for you isn't always the best solution. So, and again, we don't have the time to dive heavily, but there's a couple of tips. Recruit, interview. Okay. Very few people, I remember the days of, all right, we got you. I finally got somebody that's willing, that wants to actually interview and meet with me. Cool. I'm going to go out for a beer and sit around and have a beer with them. And then we'll go from there. That's my interview, right? And that's guilty as charged. That's how I started. I didn't know all this when I first started my business. And that's how I, kind of got hired in different places, is just go meet with them for coffee or beer or lunch or whatever. And if you have a good conversation, cool, you have a job. Okay, we got to take our interviewing much more seriously. Have, a specific interview process, interview form, ask specific questions. What you're trying to do is really figure out like who this person is, what their character is like. Are they humble? Are they hungry? Are they smart? Do they match your vision? Do they match the values of your company? And what is their experience like? All these things combined to then figure out whether they're a good candidate to work with you. Once you actually decide that you have a good candidate, they are a good person to come work with you. I mean, if they're management, you can go a high level and actually do assessments. And this is what we'll do with a lot of people is we'll actually give them a personality assessment before we actually hire them, especially if it's like a management role. That's another level you can get to, but at the very least, if you do hire somebody, you got to have a formal offer them a job, and you got to have an employee agreement in place. Okay. I don't know how many contractors grow, run, operate their business, and they have no agreements. They have no employee agreements. They have no subcontractor agreements, no sales agreements. Unfortunately, everybody has a story, especially when it comes to sales. So many people have a story of, hey, I went to work for this roofing company and they ripped me off or they didn't pay me or whatever. My question, did you have an agreement with them? No. Roofing owner, do you have an agreement with your salespeople that are having issues? No. You need to have an agreement. Be a professional. Treat your business like a professional organization. Agree
Mm-hmm.
across the board. A hint, hint. I mean, we're definitely featuring. Obviously, I'm blunt about it. We're featuring the Roofing Academy. This is what we do. All these things we're talking about. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis with contractors. We help you plug in all these pillars, and we help you plug in all these things. We help you build employee agreements. We help you build sales subcontractor and employee agreements, as well as subcontractor, non-roof subcontractor agreements. All these things you've got to have in place. They're crucial to protecting your business and giving you a level of professionalism above your competition.
Mm-hmm.
Turnover issues, if you didn't onboard them in a professional manner and then have a professional organization
Yep.
that with training, which that's the last component there, not last, but another important component is training. When you bring someone on, do you have written job descriptions? You bring someone on for a specific role? Do you have a standard operating procedure for that role? Do you have written job descriptions? Do you have an employee manual? Do you have things that you can literally train them on how to do their job? Or do you just throw them into the fire and answer questions and hope they succeed? These are all things that contribute to the really high turnover that happens in our business. It's
Yep.
time to step up our professional game when it comes to personnel, HR, hiring, onboarding, training, and then maintaining meetings, goal setting, all the things, all this stuff couples under this one category. And it's
Yeah.
probably the most crucial one. And I spend probably the most time on this one with most of my clients and contractors that I'm working with as I onboard them. And then there's hopefully there's some nuggets there for you. The fifth component is cash flow management, and this is
Mm-hmm.
another huge one. These are all huge. They're all vitally important. And this is everything from being very diligent with your billing process, being very diligent with your bookkeeping process. Okay, if you're not using a bookkeeping software and if you're not job costing, you got to focus on those two things first. I don't know how many contractors I connect with that don't have any job costing or very little or not organized job costing in place. Okay. And what I mean by job costing is when it comes to construction, every job has variable costs. Okay. Those variable costs should be tracked to the penny for that job and done on on like QuickBooks or a bookkeeping software. So you need QuickBooks, you need a job cost, you need to set your QuickBooks up to where you can job cost. So when I'm helping a contractor, I'm going to get them to the point where as an owner of a business, I want to see how many jobs I closed each week, and I want to see exactly how much money we made on each one of those jobs. If you just lump it all together, you have no clue that half your jobs are not profitable, and half your jobs, you have no clue what kind of margin you're making on those jobs. So job costing is the anchor, the foundational piece for proper cash flow management. Understanding your costs, know exactly what your numbers are. The next step, build job costing. Make sure you have a great, accounting tool such as QuickBooks. Make sure that syncs up with your CRM system, i.e., Job Nimbus. They sync up and they connect back and forth to do the job costing through both systems. And the next thing you need to be able to do is understand your fixed costs. We just talked about the variable costs. This is your labor, your materials, your the supplementing fee, your Eagle View fee, like little things like that all are part of the cost of getting that job done, cost of goods sold, right? We're getting tight. Then you have your fixed costs. This is your overhead. This is your salaries. This is your insurance. This is your, fuel, your truck, your, the office, your rent. All those things are fixed monthly costs that you can't attach to a job, if that makes sense. You've got to know both these numbers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to challenge you. If we get on a call, and ideally we're going to get on some calls, and a lot of you are going to watch this and get on a call with me as we work through this stuff, we're going to figure out exactly what is your average labor cost. What is your average material cost? We're going to figure out what it costs you to break even. How much does it cost your company to operate on a weekly basis? You figure out exactly what your monthly fixed costs are, divide that by the number of weeks, and or do this for a number of months, because it does change a little bit from month to month, and that's going to give you a really good idea of what it costs, what your bottom line is to operate. If you know that your company takes $10,000 a week to operate in overhead, you know that you're operating at a 35% margin, that you have to, sell, was it like $50,000 a week in order to break even. I mean, that again, don't quote me on the numbers. Don't at me there. I haven't written that out, but that's close. But knowing those numbers gives you the foundation to do much better job of managing cash flow. It helps you predictability. It helps you forecast and look out ahead at what's going to happen and what you need to do in order to manage the flow of cash. And then the whole other element of it is billing, AR, AP, all the things. We can go into this all day, but having a good process in place to not only know your numbers, but know what to do with those numbers. Proper reporting, proper CRMs, proper understanding of P&Ls, understanding of balance sheets, and those sort of things. Many of us jump into this roofing business or start a business. We've never had any sort of formal training on this stuff. This is stuff that they teach you in business school 101 accounting basics. So if you don't know that stuff and you're intimidated by it, it's okay. You're going to be. You're not going to. It can be very overwhelming and it can be intimidating. But some of us have a natural tendency to just say, I don't know about it, so I'm just going to let the bookkeeper worry about it. Very few bookkeepers actually know roofing. Roofing is a very unique concept. And there's another, I got to pitch that too. We help contractors with this process. I have an in-house coach that's on my team that has 10 years QuickBooks bookkeeping experience that works specifically with contractors, small contractors getting going. That's invaluable. So if any of these things, if any of these pillars, if any of these things that you're, looking at into your business and you're thinking, how do I expedite? How do I, you're thinking, man, I really want to make these better. I want to fix this. I want to get more dialed in with my process. And I'm planning for a growth for next year. Now's the time to ask your question. Are you willing to invest in yourself? Are you willing to invest in your business? Are you willing to invest in a program, in a coach, and in somebody that can help you get to where you want to go? Any of these components that we talked about, plus a lot more we don't have enough time to talk about, I would love to help you with. What I want to do is, as wrapping this up, for anybody who's paying attention, who's asking themselves right now, man, I want to get better at one of these 5 pillars. I want to get better at leadership. I want to make sure I have a great foundation for business. I want to scale. I encourage you to get on a call with me. You can find my information right at the top. Go to our website. It's www.theroofingacademy.com. Right at the top, you can book a call with me or book a demo with me, and I'll talk to you. We'll do a free coaching session. We'll talk about some of these things, and then we'll explore some of our programming and options that we have, and hopefully, if it makes sense, then we'll work together, and I can help assist you achieve that growth and those goals that you're wanting to do. And here is the icing on the cake. Black Friday, baby. All right. We are launching early. Black Friday is next Friday. But from now until the end of the month, anybody that joins our program, anybody that decides to take the plunge and invest in one of our, our startup package or our build package, look at it. Again, you can find out more about these packages on a website, theroofingacademy.com. If you enter the promo code Black Friday, all one word, all caps, it'll save you $500 off your startup. So save $500 right now. Get involved with the academy. It's no contract. It's month-to-month service, and I guarantee we can help you take your business to the next level as long as you are willing to put in the work and you're willing to make the investment of time and a little bit of money.
And I just put in the notes for the promotion, so theroofingacademy.com, and use Black Friday for $500 off. We had a couple comments I want to dive in. I'm going to do a recap of the 2 pillars that you just discussed. So we had Lester tuning in, so out in Pennsylvania, said employment agreements level us up. He's been doing an unbelievable job. We got Caesar, who won the free ticket to RoofCon. He's on here, said definitely getting on a call with Randy soon once I figure out these numbers. I just want to do a quick recap of the 2 pillars, and then we'll go with the golden nugget from Randy, and we'll close it out. So hiring, training, and onboarding. Run your company like a professional organization or corporation, right? Have SOPs for each position to set them up for success. Have actual training and onboarding, right? Build an attractive culture. Use things like incentive plans for your team. Cash flow management. Work on job costing. Understand your job for each job and know your numbers, right? Have a good accounting tool. Understand your fixed costs. Understand your average labor costs, your average material costs, and understand how much does it take for you to run your business each month. All right. So, Randy, those are the 5 pillars, my friend. What are the takeaways? What's the golden nugget for today for all those contractors out there?
Well, we got to bring it home with leadership. Okay. You've got to lead your people, and you got to become the best version of yourself, and got to own the journey that is becoming a great leader, right? In order to do that. And one of the things that kind of came to mind today was, when we become leaders by default. We start a business, you start hiring people, guess what? You're a leader, or you're put into a management position for one reason or another. Just maybe you're just a human with a pulse that's in the right position. Okay, we're put into leadership positions, by default, or we create leadership positions on our own. That doesn't mean that we're a leader. Okay, we have to learn how to become a great leader, how to lead, teach, and inspire other people to be the best versions of themselves, all the while being the best version of ourselves. So understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, figure out how to put yourself in a leadership position that accentuates your strengths, and find other people and develop other leaders to lead in the areas that you are naturally weak. And that's a recipe for success.
Amen, brother. Randy, awesome. It's always a fun time. Obviously, usually we have a guest here every episode, but it's always nice to catch up, kick it old school, and just rock it, me and you, my friend.
Awesome, man. Thank you for all the hard work, and it's been a fun ride, and I'm looking forward to the next 127 episodes that we're going to do, my friend.
Let's do it, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 127 of the Start Build Grow Show.